Hi guys. My guest today, Greg Ryzhov, one of the most prominent health tech, fit tech CTO in Berlin, and we happen to meet today just to share our regular ideas and thoughts about technology. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Sergey. Nice to meet you, and thanks for inviting me on your podcast.
And just to kick it off, you are in the big number game. When I'm saying big number game, there are startups with a couple of thousand users. When I look at Clue, and this is what you're what you're doing right now, or before my probably second favorite startup in the world, Urban Sports Club. You're solving problems that for many is a luxurious point to reach. So you are basically in the mass market. What is it, how different it is from what you've done before? Maybe just share your experience about cons and pros being in the big number games.
Oh yeah, I actually enjoy it quite a lot, and it's not really about big numbers, but specifically Clue is about having direct access to the user of our product. So it's a direct to consumer product. We have more than 10 million users, and it's really great that you get all this feedback, all the suggestions, complaints. You can really solve like specific people issues. Previously, was also interesting with Urban Sports Club because it's a really as you mentioned, it's a great product. Connecting people to sports students, inspiring them to be more active and lead healthy lifestyle. So that was also quite empowering and great to because it was such a nice product. It was really easy to get in touch with sports enthusiasts and know about what they would like to do, what kind of information they'd like to see in the product, and so on.
Did you
And
have to do
previously, yeah,
did
go
you
ahead.
have to do sport yourself, like when you were there?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's uh, it's right like a kind of multi-level dog fooding, right? So you need to use your product, but at the same time you need to use what your product is offering. So it was actually quite nice, and it creates a feeling of uh, togetherness because like it wasn't just like me, like we were discovering new sports from. I mean, like we had team event, which was a pole dancing. So people like employees are like tried to like what it is to actually like what this kind of sport
And
is. Yeah,
I think pole dancing is one of the hardest gymnastic activity that
yeah.
one could imagine. It's definitely not easy. So there is absolutely no laughing about that. But staying with this analogy, eating your own dog food. Uh, how do you actually do the customer discovery or collecting feedback at Clue?
It Clue.
Or
So we
maybe
have
just just for our audience, maybe just like a 2 minutes elevator pitch. What is Clue? What are you doing? What is the mission and vision for the next years to come?
so Clue is the reproductive health app that helps a lot of people, a lot of women and people with cycles to get in tune with their body and understand like what like track their symptoms and be able to better understand their health and affect or improve it moving forward. There are a lot of anecdotes we have about people while using our app being able to discover some like or being diagnosed with some issues that otherwise they had for a very long time period, and doctors weren't just accepting that or wouldn't confirm the diagnosis because they were lacking data. So providing this data equity, equality to women and people with cycles, that's one of the missions at Blue.
And then staying with the topic, how difficult it is actually to build mass market product in that field yet still give a feeling to user that it's personal?
Well, first of all, we I think half of one of the best customer support in this kind of market. So we really trying to be in touch with our users through multiple different channels. So it's like our direct support, like we have real people who are well aware about our product, about the domain of the female health, and can actually help to not just solve an issue with the app, but advise people on specific issues that they might be facing. So then it's like a channels we different channels we have social media. We actually, our product team is doing user interviews multiple per week, so we are in the like constant, like permanent state of being in touch with our users, learning from them, taking their feedback, taking their complaints, reacting on it, and delivering improved experience back through our product.
Was it did you have a funny feeling? What kind of startup am I going to be doing? Like, because it's tailored for female, primarily for female, like at least from the outside perception.
I mean, like, first thing, that was actually a question I got asked during the interview, and you like you never think about it that it's somehow connected, but it actually is. So we have like our like females in our lives, like a lot, right? So I have wife, I have a teenage daughter, so I can actually relate to a lot of things that happening in their life, and honestly, I'm really um, appreciative that I can contribute to help them on first on the like literacy topic, on like being educated from the like scientific sources, rather than just learning about certain things from their friends or families. And the second of all, actually like help them to deal with certain things in their lives.
I'm recently. It's probably come with age. The older we get, the more conscious we become about our body and longevity. And what you're doing is basically, helping people, helping user to stay really conscious about their biology. And I'm just wondering if you already untapped that potential of user treating an app very consciously, how likely is it to start adding on more and more to Clue? Like, I don't know, some kind of explainability of your blood results or explainability of your blood pressure. Because let me just keep on with my questions.
Yeah.
Like, if I ask you, my blood pressure is 120 by 170, whatever, like whatever we normally get, I wouldn't know if it's good for my age, for my body type, or bad. And I always thinking, damn, would it be nice just to have like results, but better explainable?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm totally with you, more or less in the same, I guess, age group, right? So I'd really like to know about, is it normal? And that this is the question a lot of users on our platform asking. It's like, am I normal? Because there is like, might be, they might be going through some experience that they might feel is like totally unique and like no one else has it, gives people anxiety, and so on. So actually, like this is one of the questions that we'd like them to answer through our product. um, we we have like a lot of data collected, as you can imagine, from like people tracking their symptoms. Recently, we started focused like work on actually giving back to our users, providing them with insights, with statistics about their health. and helping them on this like journey, like discovering is it normal, or it's better to actually see a specialist.
Do you imagine, I don't know, next year, like just like, moving forward, start adding on more and more towards what you have already in your portfolio, or Clue will always going to be in this niche with, how did you frame it? Reproduct, reproduct,
I mean, it's a reproductive health. Yeah.
reproductive health.
So I think one aspect is there is a lot to do in this niche, right? Because it's something that females live in with from basically their first period till the last period and beyond. So it's really kind of a life companion product, as you can think. So recently we launched a perimenopause feature that expands the life stages that we support. And yeah, but like the number of life stages is finite. There is like an end to it, but there is a huge depth in terms of what we can do and what kind of functionality we can provide for each of the stages.
Great. And if we're talking about, like, bringing the life companion in terms of technology, because technology always change and evolve. What is your tech stack for the mobile apps?
It's native at the moment, so we're using Swift for iOS with like Swift UI, and Kotlin with like a Jetpack family, like Jetpack Compose specifically on Android. I also want to say that our apps are pretty modern. We just rebuilt them last year after like having legacy for almost 10 years with a lot of changes. You can imagine what code looks like after 10 years of like active development. So we actually built a pretty slim app where on which we can iterate super fast, which is super stable. Honestly, like in the whole my career, I never seen such a stable app in terms of crash rates and so on. So yeah, that's, I would say, it's pretty modern tech stack that we're currently using, and yeah, we're looking further how we can make it better, especially in the area of the artificial intelligence and like figuring out what else, like how can we improve delivery of insights to our users.
Have you been playing around with I don't know, Apple Watch, the OS that allows basically people to have their period tracks right in the watch?
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
because
I mean,
Apple is quite like pushy when you have like one ecosystem covered, and it just rolls out to any other.
I think that's what Apple does, right? And they've been really good at it. They've been really trying to cover a lot of use cases from the like a breadth perspective. In terms of the depth, I think as it's our top priority, probably we would be better in terms of actually like digging deeper into reproductive health topics, and like definitely Apple, like as well as Google, as any other producer of um, wearables, let's say, it is really great insights or data we can get and like help to improve our assessments, our results.
When we were preparing for this podcast, the main topic is always AI on the top of people's mind, and how likely it is actually that, let's say, the next version of ChatGPT. And by the way, they've just announced the new, like, a turbochat with all kind of new features. Would be, I'm just driving up scenario that I say, okay, my period started today. Just like remember this date, and then drive up all the simulation of what's going to happen next. Because
Mhm.
I believe that in theory, your app also works based on specific timestamps, and then predictabilities and analytics of what might happen and how to behave in a specific like a time zone. How likely you would compete with ChatGPT in the next couple of, I would say, months, not years, because the time goes so fast right now.
I mean, I don't know if compete is the right word. I think it's about actually. So if you think of it, there is no like. In the end, it's like a person's health, right? And I think they compete in this area. It gets us somewhere where like it's actually not not the benefit for the person is on top of the prioritization or like doing something, but rather figuring out how can you make more profit from it. So that's kind of my personal perspective on things. But I think utilizing ChatGPT or any other form of AI for the variety of aspects that we can have, that definitely is going to happen. Like there is no really other way around it in the current environment.
Well, maybe not in the German market, because in Germany, and this is
Yeah.
what I've learned in by being also in a medical sector right now. People don't have a habit to pay for their medicine, and actually to be kind of conscious enough to be a self-payer. There's always like this institution of Krankenkasse, or basically like a pension state insurer who would cover that up. And if we stay with that, because you're a private app, like the users
Yep.
pay premium to get an insights. Was there any consideration in the for this product to be covered by Krankenkasse in Germany?
I mean, definitely yes. So, and like maybe just taking a step back, while we based in Germany, and we are protected, like all data protected by GDPR and so on. Our main market is actually the United States. So we had a product which was certified by FDA, and yeah, we had it running for a year, collecting insights. So there is actually we developed good connection to like healthcare providers, say in the United States and here and so on. So we we are in the permanent state of like figuring out what's the better path to address people health and help them, and definitely, honestly, if having insurers paying for that, that's a great benefit.
Yeah, the FDA is the for the listeners, it's
Food and Drug Administration. Yeah.
what is it again? Like
Food and Drug Administration.
Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah.
Why food? Are
It's
they also supplements? They look at everything?
yeah, probably yes. Yeah,
I've
that's
heard, like, one of my favorite podcasts is Andrew Huberman or Lex Friedman, and they many times they have guests, and they all call the FDA either evil or greater evil with the good intention. So basically, although they have this patient first mentality, but until you get there, basically there's either like the corporate always wins, and otherwise, I mean, I don't know, like, because you've been going through this process, I've only have experienced a different type of certification. If you want to be like a medical app that is able to be subscribed by the prescription by a doctor, you need to be a medical product.
yeah.
Or medizinische Produkt, how we say it in Germany. And a lot of time when I read these, compliance docs, I don't understand. Does it even make sense? But like, the way it's been written, it looks like it's been designed still for the medical devices where they operate in a surgery room,
Yeah.
and not for the digital product.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it is. All like majority of regulation is designed to treat software as a medical device as a real physical medical device, which is not 100% aligned with agile methodologies that are like basically adopted by software development since almost 30 years, if not more. But it is exactly like that. We are also regulated as a software as a medical device, but we actually trying to get, say, like the positive aspect of that, because as a software engineer, you always talk about the importance of documentation, the how great it is if you can uh, connect the certain bug or issue to a specific feature that was developed at a certain point in time, and like have the proper post-mortem processes and so on and so forth. I personally see that compliance helps in a lot of these areas. So I wouldn't call compliance topics as like evil, but rather, we can coexist. It's definitely possible to move fast and be compliant.
You know, touching upon that topic, we've been going through the ISMS certification, and
Mhm.
that requires exactly the traceability of
Yeah,
every work unit that goes through software development process. So when you're merging your pull request in the head of a message, you write the the ticket number
yeah,
from
okay,
Jira,
yeah.
and then so every merge pull request is kind of like a representation of a Jira board. So it, I actually, yeah, I was at the beginning, I was saying, what the heck? Like, what do you want me to do with that? But once it started working, I realized there is a lot of kind of chronology that you could leverage for a benefit, but only in some parts. Some other parts I'm still quite of like rebelling against. So, question to you as a CTO of that organization, and it looks like you've managed FDA and many other certification. Uh, how to stay sane and still be innovative? How to take risks, basically, in such a regulated environment?
I mean, first of all, like risks is the main part of this regulated environment, right? So like while you developing something, you are always looking into how to mitigate those risks and what kind of controls you put in place to be able to mitigate those risks or reduce them to to bare minimum. Before I went into health and like fitness industry, I was working mostly in operations, so logistics, supply chain, warehousing, and so on. There are a lot of processes. So you actually you help build systems that help people to get through these routine processes through automation, through um, like speeding things up, like some performance or like algorithmical improvements if it comes to like fulfillment and so on. So I honestly think that like a regulated environment is it's the environment with predefined process where you can actually first automate it, like automate a lot of steps of this process. And the second is this process actually enforces accountability. So you really need, like, you have uh, people or roles that are responsible for making certain decisions, which is also, I'd say it's good. You have accountability by design. You have like processes that you can speed up by design. So you do it, and then you can focus on creative stuff. You can figure out actually, okay, hey, there is this risk. Let's figure out something to mitigate this. Or it's just, it doesn't stop innovation. Otherwise, there won't be any innovation in the field of health, and I think this industry is like grew a lot over past, say, like 100 years or something.
Well, it looks like we grew a lot and we grew fast, but once you start diving into like a medical sector, or even it doesn't need to be general German or American. Even the fact that data patient transfer is sent in HL7 standard, which is coded in the format that's been designed in pre-internet era. So this ADT connection comes down to like before JSON, before we had JSON. Now they started adapting to this new methodology of FHIR, where you could, be file agnostic, but still, like my challenge right now with every time you talk to a clinic, hospital, or like a chain of clinics, and very first question, how do we integrate with you? And it's a puzzle. Basically, there is always like this elephant in the room. Oh, we actually don't do it. It's someone else. Like we need to talk to this company, the other company. We just provide like a medical service. The other company provides compliance. The other one server management. So somewhere at the end, at the value chain, there is somebody who could answer your question, how do we connect? And then it turns out that connection isn't even possible because, like, I don't know, some legal issues. So I'm curious, how do you think about like technology being a driver of innovation? Or is it even possible? Or are we still going to be just optimizers? Like in logistics, we only optimize some specific algorithms, speeds and quality, but innovation is still going to be done somewhere else.
That's a good question. Thank you. Well, I mean, I think currently the most of evolution is happening on the like software side of things. And while uh, the whole kind of maybe regulations or like catching up to that, or catching up to the like possibilities that new software brings, um, mindset, I think, still mindset is changing. Like mindset is already. I was reading some statistics a couple of years ago, um, and there is a, like in Germany specifically, 40 or 50% of young doctors that that starts at like practices, like they are asking for like a software, for like improved systems to be able to do their job, to improve communication, data transmission and so on. I mean, the demand is there. In general, I mean, like regulated environment is slower to catch up, but I think it is already happening. Like technology drives innovation. It's just maybe there will be some tipping point when regulatory side catch up, um, and it all gonna go like start moving exponentially. And it is changing, really. It's like from the younger generation, people who grew up with mobile phones, with computers, with like technology everywhere. It is gonna change. They just like won't be able even to do their job like in some governmental institution without using the tools and services that they used to. So I think it's just it is helping. It is changing. Maybe in this particular area is going a bit slower, but it, the innovation is happening.
It is happening. The question is if it's happening in our backdoor or not. Was
Yeah,
our
sure. I mean, but it's
that
I know, like a friend of mine, he's working on the platform that helps to modernize this medical record and the doctor's workstation sort of
uh-huh.
software. It's a lot of work. It's a huge amount of work. You have to like visit a lot of um, cabinets, let's say. But there is a demand, and there is like a huge desire to have those areas be on par with what's happening in say other companies that are less regulated.
I was listening to podcast with Joe Rogan. There's like probably everyone knows him. So he had this treatment done with I think it's called stem cells. So
Mhm.
basically, some kind of like innovative way of injecting this kind of native material into broken knees and shoulders, but it's not permitted in US, so they all do this in Mexico. And I've been researching this uh, innovation clinics about like those who experiment with things that not normally allowed in Germany or US. They always either in Mexico or in Bahamas or in some kind of like exotic states. But these guys seems to basically come up with all this crazy shit. Or even remember this Chinese doctor who cloned a human. Now he's in prison. I forgot his name, but he was like a very famous doctor for cloning human. Uh, he was also doing these experiments outside of US, but then they I don't know, they got him. So I'm just like I just wonder how it's going to look like in a couple of years. Greg, looking back at your personal track record of stuff that you could say, okay, in this company there was a single killer feature that actually changed, I don't know, the history of the company. Would you be able to like say that was there some like if you look at the Clue or previously Urban Sports Club, was there something like mother feature or killer? Well, killer feature normally it kills, but like a mother feature is like the most important feature that you could group everything else around. Would you name this kind of feature for Clue and the previous startups that you were building?
If you're asking for a silver bullet, that would probably stuff related to monitoring and observability. It is not user facing, but the amount of benefits you get as an engineering team that just overweights like almost every user facing feature that you deliver, because you know that your platform is stable, you know, like when the issue is happening before it gets escalated to support or somewhere in social media. You actually know how your your platform is behaving. So I think in like throughout my history, like a main focus from like day zero was on improving observability of the platform, then improving reliability on the platform. So that what I would say is the killer feature that changes a lot for the company and how it operates. So that's really kind of would be my answer.
Like super interesting because like observability tools or monitoring tools is not the first the first thing that is normally integrated. You start with
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate.
yeah, that's very unfortunate. Exactly. What are you using for monitoring observability?
I mean, we're using Datadog. I don't know, but like, I don't want to advertise. I have experience with other tools, so I use, I think, like the most of the main players, and it's less about the tool, more about the mindset and the kind of the approach you have to software development, where observability comes like if not first, but like really like a second is the least place you can put it.
Yeah, we use Datadog too. I love everything but pricing.
Oh well.
But otherwise great tool. Like we actually use it for all kind of monitoring, including like real time user monitoring and like what they do, what kind of video they watch, etc., etc.
I mean,
Um,
it honestly, it's just like where to invest, right? So there are some companies who underinvest in topics like reliability, security, privacy, and so on. And when something happens, people start actually thinking about that, but it's a bit too late. So I'd really like to prioritize those topics.
And Greg, like just to play a game with you, you and I, we about to start a new company in the medical sector, and you are known for building great teams. So one thing that I've already learned from you. So before we even, like code our backend and then start thinking about architecture, we need to really think about observability and user analytics and like platform analytics. So we need to have this layer of uh, understanding what is happening and then build on top. So this is covered. But how do we attract great talents? How do we build great engineering culture that is resilient actually to elevate us above any other competitors in the market?
I mean, what worked for me, or what I feel worked for me, is kind of trying to be as transparent as you can be when it comes, like, with people, when it comes to actually addressing why, like, why are we doing something, like, what's the problem I was trying to address, and just kind of be honest and direct, right? So then when people have this clarity of why are we doing, I mean, for sure there is like the emotional component. Some people can commit to certain things, some people cannot. But I think just like having the eye level dialogue with folks works for me. So I honestly, um, I never isolated myself from the team. So I would like to think of myself as a part of the team, as being approachable, being on more like a helping side, rather than just, you know, running around screaming on everyone. But I think having this like honest relationship, like eye level relationship with your team, helps to actually make this team a high performance team.
What about if we got in a team and have some toxic members and they already start, like, I don't know, was there any? Well, I'm sure you had a lot of stories to share how to deal with toxic members or how to eliminate toxicity in a team, an engineering team. There is always some level of toxicity there, here and there.
I mean, again, through uh, timely and direct feedback, right? So uh, there is a tendency of like maybe recently, so it's like that I see a lot of like conflict avoidance. So people tend to not bring topics that uncomfortable or that may frustrate someone else, and it just makes the conflict grow to the extent where the environment becomes toxic, just because certain things are not being addressed in time. So I think basically calling things by their names, trying to eliminate number, like reduce number of elephants that you have in the room with you, would really help to address situations that might become toxic. And if you identify the situation as, I mean, like, toxic is really is like it's a weird uh, term to use, because some people tend to call toxic just behaviors that they don't like personally, but it's just about them, not about the other person. But if you really feel that the team morale is going down, then very important to react on things fast and not let it grow.
But Greg, you led a team of various sizes. I don't know. You had like a what was the biggest team you had?
I think it was around like 90 people.
90
and
people.
like
Well,
different shifts for
that's a
the
very big engineering team. So you probably had different teams or squads or whatever, like chapters, depends on the structure. So normally when you already building this environment or you are in this environment, you don't interact with individuals. You normally have engineering leads where you interact on a
Yep.
daily basis, but your one-on-ones with team members, depends on the size, but you could not talk months with some
Yep.
guys, especially if you work in the remote environment. And then your engineering leader comes to you and says, "Hey, actually, there is this and this situation." So I'm asking, like, for your tips. How do you actually make sure that you operate on this, strategic level, but still remain part of the team? This is how you frame it.
I mean, it again, it depends like what what are you bringing to the team, right? You have all these team leads or any other leads for a reason, and like this reason is that you cannot manage the above the, I think it's like 15 people. Like you possibly cannot maintain the level of communication that's enough for like creating trust. But people that you that report to you or that you manage, you really need to trust them. So if some like, I think I also kind of tell to consider trust as a default setting in my relationship with my reports. So in this case, I think that creates certain like again environment which I believe is good. So people are empowered to make certain decisions. They know their mandate. They can act accordingly. I can only support. I can provide some insights. Can provide opinions, but in the end, the accountability is with the person. And the other thing is how to be the part of the team is to try to like share your experiences, share the knowledge you have, like try to bring it to the team, but find the right way. So it's like shouldn't be really, oh, I know better, and you should do like exactly like this. But at the same time, if and for certain things, you just know, okay, it's like this industry practice, or like better, but like still you need to put effort and properly sell in certain things to the team so they get buy-in. They see you as again on eye level. It's really just like comes down to for certain things. I mean, you really need to consider everyone as equal and don't play, oh, I'm CTO card every time you want to make certain decisions. So that's how I go.
How often have you been actually playing the CTO card or been guilty of sneaking up some decisions into individual team planning?
Not often, I'd say. I like maybe like it's more often happens on the organizational side of things. It's like team design, as you said, like there
Mhm,
might be
mhm, mhm.
certain, like when the organization goes through different stages, there might be certain adjustments in a team structure. So I think this is where, like from the structure perspective, I could play this card just because like the context is wider. So I have like a maybe some other aspects that are not known to the team lead. But honestly, like when it comes to software development, like engineers know better than us. Like last time I wrote code was, I think, 4 years ago already. So
Mhm.
I need to trust them. I need to uh, like just figure out what are the principles that I cannot um, like sacrifice, or like the team should have, and how I can ensure that team leaves to these like principles.
Greg, just for the way of advice, because I've been known to play this card a lot. Like for maybe it's also part of my personality, and I I like to basically before I was saying like I love to move fast and break things. So famous Facebook thingy, not always working in a regulated environment, but uh, throughout my time, I've learned to trust my team and actually more build empowered team structure where you delegate your ownership and accountability uh, directly on individual. However, sometimes I have this feeling, oh my God, it goes too slow. It goes too
Yeah,
slow. It could have been done faster. We
yeah,
could have simplified this. We could have skipped a few steps and just, I don't know, like make
yeah.
that simpler. And then I join the refinement meetings and I say, oh, what about this and that? So, and you play this card, although you don't impose authority, but it feels in the room, oh my God, this guy's here and he's my manager. And if I say no, I don't know what's going to happen. So you do this unintentionally, but you've actually learned not to do it. So how would you advise or how would you coach someone like me and say, hey, Sergey, I've been there, I've done that. There is a better way. What should I do?
Um, so like how I learn it for myself, I think it's kind of differentiating between I don't care and I let it go. So I don't care would be like, oh, just like, yeah, whatever, like whatever happens, like really, I'm just here, like not gonna um not gonna interfere, like let it fail and whatever. Let it go is for me it sounds more like empowering. So you need to let people fail as well. I don't know if you look back in your history, like how did you learn things? Like you probably learned from a lot of failures, right? I learned for sure, like I you know all these kind of like incidents that were created by me in the past, like this learning or experience is still with me, and it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to be where I am. So I think you need to let people fail. You need to let people make decisions, not to prove them wrong, but like to actually give them an opportunity to learn. And if you have this opportunity, like if they learn, then you actually will spend like way less time worrying and trying to interfere with them. And like they will be autonomous and empowered. But like you need to you need to keep like to hold them accountable. It's like that's the key, right? So if they fail, you really need to ensure that the learnings are somehow uh, like reflected in some shape or form and then transmitted further. So if you lose learnings from the certain incident, it's just like, yeah, uh, as you didn't learn, you just like failed basically. But if you failed and learned, that's actually pretty good outcome.
So if I um, like recap it, so if someone fails, it needs to be also linked with post-mortem or basically some kind of like investigation that would lead for this individual or a team to learn from mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, like
And
that's
if
a
we repeat the same mistake, then it's basically something is wrong with the process.
well, yeah. If we keep repeating the same things, like that means that we don't learn. And I think in a lot of performance platforms or career development platforms, learning is the one of the uh, criteria of progression. So you just see why learning is not happening and then address that.
Greg, what is your golden or like I wouldn't call it silver bullet engineering KPI? Like how do
Oh,
you if you come and see different teams, how you measure them against each other?
well, I don't. That's I think you like if you measure against something, that should be the targets or like goals that you set for teams and individuals. I honestly like I kind of feel the same with say recruiting. I'm not a big fan of comparing people with each other. I'm rather go with like, okay, is this people fit for the job? Yes or no, pros and cons, and like make a decision. But like really, when you start comparing, that doesn't doesn't get you to to the right places. In terms of the KPI, I mean, honestly, so one thing that you can tell for sure that there is no silver bullet, like apps, like it does not, or at least like no one figured it out. There are a lot of aspects. There are a lot of things that you can look into to evaluate performance of the team or performance of an individual, but it's really it's like a combination. It's a combination of, I think, some more kind of qualitative things, like again like
Hmm.
learning, collaboration, communication, and so on, then the outcomes, which is what like what team uh, can achieve, or what team is achieving, how they are doing against their goals and targets, and the output. So I personally think that the output is the same like the also a metric that you need to look into, and it basically goes the number of say deployments, whatever pull. I know it. I like the very controversial thing to say, like looking at pull requests or tickets. But honestly, if you look at it from the say from a distance, you start seeing patterns. So it's like if your team is relatively stable, so you can actually see patterns that are related to certain like decisions or events that affect output. And also like once team is like went through this, like storming norming phases, like it does have consistent output, so the fluctuations you can actually see and use it as a metric as well.
Yeah, pretty interesting. I'm asking you this question because it appears on every discussion. Like every
Yeah,
time you have engineering versus business, you always want to establish some kind of like performance KPI, and many believe that number of deploys or number of releases um, seems to be like the like quite universal metric. However, I've also started to look at my board, as you mentioned, when you come from perspective, and I look at releases, and I see one release contains 2 tickets. The other release but might be 8 or 10. So it's basically there is the you can only be consistent if you are inside the team and you know what's been shipped. Otherwise, it's basically a nice number to communicate, but otherwise doesn't reflect on the reality.
yeah. I mean, like deployments is also a tricky number because say like on mobile, you cannot. I mean, you can, but it doesn't really make sense if you release multiple times per day. I'm not talking about like feature flags and like over the air updates, but in general, like if you're using traditional methods for the mobile development, you are quite restricted. And there is also dependency on third party. That's been like Apple and Google reviewing your apps, but it's definitely one of the key components. So we have achieved like a weekly releases on our mobile platforms. It helps a lot. It helps also to create this sort of like feeling of say relative safety, because like if something goes wrong mildly, like if there is a non-critical bug or the design improvement that you need to do, or yeah, or like something around that, um, there's a release coming in 7 days or like less. So you just like it's predictable. like velocity of the releases, and that creates kind of feeling of, oh yeah, okay, so we forgot it this time, but it's coming like next time. So I'm not talking about like incidents where you need to hotfix and like so on.
Yeah.
So, but in general, it kind of creates this like a bit of a warm safety feeling of, okay, like I can actually change it next week and not wait for another month.
Have you noticed increase of velocity when they, how fast they do reviews in the App Store and
Yeah,
Google Play?
yeah.
Because like before it, I was at Freeletics. Sometimes we could have waited 3 to 4 days in App Store, but they're getting. I I wonder if they also start using some kind of machine learning algorithms if there is no
I
major
hope.
changes in the code. Because my recent experience, I was renewing an Android application. There was only like slight text changes, and it was renewed within a minute. So no human would did look at that, and I was probably okay. So the pipeline works like okay, no code changes, automatically flag as approved. So would
I
that,
wish it will be done by
yeah,
something artificial, right?
maybe it's going to be not days but hours in the future. So
Yeah.
there's going to be like a threshold for mobile applications to be released on a daily basis. Let's see. Uh, the to wrap it up, like I would love to ask, who do you normally use as your coach or advisor or somebody? Who do you look up to become a better CTO?
Thanks for your question.
It could be your mom. I don't know, like someone in everyone has someone in their life.
No, I mean, like I think a lot of approaches that I use, they are coming from my family, like the way I was raised, um, what was important for them and me, and so yeah, that definitely influenced me a lot. I think I'm just like I'm trying to read a lot, and analyze stuff that is coming from like a different sources. Like I really cannot call it a name, um, that I would say, okay, that's one name I can like, maybe like on the personal level, like one very influential CTO in my life was Christian Hardenberg from Rocket Internet. So like
We're
very,
gonna we're gonna tag Christian tomorrow in the LinkedIn, so Christian will get
yeah, he's like,
the.
I mean, he's super great when it comes to figuring out what's good for engineers, for business, and so on. So like personally on me, I think while we haven't really worked directly a lot, but I was part of the Rocket Internet ecosystem for some time, and yeah, just like learning from like observing, that kind of gave me also a lot of yeah,
Any
positive.
recent authors or books that you read that made a um, impact on what you do and how you do things?
Just ordered today a new book by Gergely Orish, who is like the author of the Pragmatic Engineer, Pragmatic Developer blog. So let's see. Um, there's like a lot of good stuff around.
Yes, staying pragmatic is very important in our trade. So to wrap it up, I'm going to ask Greg for more links, some recommendations,
Sure.
also his startups. Anything that he would like to share with us, please find in the posts below the video. And yeah, and if you like to hear more talks with powerful and mindful engineers and CTOs in Berlin, just subscribe and let's stay connected. Thanks a lot, Greg. And
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was really a lot of fun and pleasure to join you.
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Thanks a lot and take care, buddy.
Yeah, take care. Bye bye.